Hello, beautiful, and welcome to Original Boss Babes. My name is Natalie Garnica, and today we're going to be focusing on how do we even start building our business, right? Or maybe if you're in a place where you're stuck or you want to really take a big pivot in your business, now's the time, And so in order to help me with this conversation, I've invited the amazing Lisa Marie Grantham. Say hello.
Hi.
So I love Lisa because she's a business coach, lifestyle expert, and spiritual teacher. And what I really love that she incorporates in her business is that spiritual part, right? Because as business owners, sometimes we forget that to take care of ourselves, to take care of our spirituality, and nurture that so that we can then show up in our businesses powerful, healthy, and really confident, right? So maybe Lisa, you can start off by sharing a little bit of like what inspired you to kind of create your business.
Oh, it's such a great question. And I'm thinking back so many years now. It's been a decade since I jumped into this amazing world of coaching and online business. But what really, I guess if I boil it down to the purest essence, what brought me to doing this work in the world was that two things I think come up. Number one was I really felt like I wanted to be of service in some way. I have gone through a lot of really terribly hard times. I've had, very sad things happen at different points in my life, like everybody. Mine was just what mine were, but everybody goes through times. And I remember thinking, if there was just a way that I can help other people or women specifically through their times of struggle, then my pain and what I went through wouldn't be in vain so much. I remember that's still my mantra because life continues to power on and, we go through things that are out of our control and life kind of happens to us sometimes. And then we have to figure out or navigate our way out of it, through it. Find our true north again, find our direction, find hope and in possibility. Because, things that really pull the rug out from underneath us in life can tend to take away our hope, like almost snuff out the hope. So that was definitely a driver for me. Like, how can I take this pile of shit that I was literally dealt and turn it into something good for not only myself, but for others? So that was one. And then two, I still kind of cringe when I admit it out loud, even though I'm really over it, but I'm a mom of 3 kids. I love my children. I am so blessed to have them. I feel like I need to make this statement, but it wasn't enough. Being a mom wasn't enough for me. So I say that proudly, not that I diminish mothering, but I had more in me. I had this bigger, dream in my heart. And I really wanted my life to matter for something instead of just taking and then moving on to the next realm. I wanted to leave the world a better place than I found it. So that's really what sparked it back then. Now it's just for me about empowering as many women as humanly possible across the globe to step into their feminine power and create something so that the world, it could give rise to the world. It gives rise to our bank account and the world at the same time. I'm like, that's a win-win.
Yes. What's really coming up for me that I repeatedly heard you is like just your level of generosity, your level of like knowing and understanding that there is a great world out here that we live on, right? And if we allow ourselves to just play small, right, like then we're really being a disservice to so many other people. It's right. Like you could just stay home, mother your children and create beautiful beings that will then be leaders in this world and do that, right? But why not you too?
Yeah.
Right?
Lead by example. And the stuff that I struggled with, I believe that, my personal belief is that we are given the struggles we're given because we're meant to transcend them in some way. And then use that pain that we felt to pay it forward, so to speak. And what really fueled me was just this whole, like, I want to empower women My wounds were always around self-worth, overgiving, people pleasing, doormatness, so
I
that
me too.
those were my areas of struggle. The lessons kept coming and the lessons kept coming. And every time I got the lesson, it would, as a younger young woman, it would chip away at my self-worth. And then I finally hit rock bottom and I said, I'm going to claw my way back here. I'm going to claw my way back because I cannot be crapped upon anymore. I am not going to allow it. And it was literally inch by inch clawing my way back to who I was meant to be.
Yeah. I love that. I love that so much that like, if we're relentless with what we can create in this world, then that's when like the possibilities are so endless. And like sometimes you even surprise yourself. I do, sometimes like, oh, I didn't know I could do that, but it does require for us to like reach sometimes a breaking point. I definitely was at many breaking points before I finally was like, okay, Nat, enough is enough. Are you going to continue to play small? Are you going to continue to support other women as their production manager or their assistant, to when deep down inside you have like this voice like wanting to come out, so thank you for sharing that, because I think that if anyone is in that space of just they know that this isn't enough, right? Like right now, I'm sure whatever they're creating, doing in their life, that it feels good, you guys are doing great. But if you're feeling that calling inside and you're just knowing like it's not enough right now, this is going to be a free conversation for you. Yeah. And so like one of the things that me and you talked about also before and that you just mentioned too is that like I feel like a lot of it has to do with like that self-worth, right? That self-value. Because I know that for me personally, like I just didn't think I was worth being heard, or I didn't have anything important to say yet. So like, what is your experience? I know you work with a lot of women, and how do you address that like self-worth, self-value conversation? And also kind of in relation to money, right?
Yeah, all the conversations, because every conversation, every struggle and I work primarily with women, although interestingly enough, I started off coaching men back in the day. And then because men loved my coaching, I was like, okay, this is what I'm hearing and this is what you need to do. And that's very much a masculine thing. Now I coach primarily women, but I help women understand masculine energy, feminine energy, balance it within themselves, understand their partners more if they're, with a man, because men and women are definitely from two different planets. Men are from Mars, women from Venus. That there's a lot of truth to that. We process things differently. However, as women, especially ambitious entrepreneurial women, and then add that spiritual component into it, like where I deal with, because a lot of spiritual women are empathic and they feel and they're kind. So managing your energy, guarding your energy, and balancing your masculine and feminine within you, extremely important. And I already forgot the question you asked me. Isn't that terrible? Go off on a tangent.
It's about like what you experience when coaching other women, or maybe your own personal life, about self-worth and self-value, and how that's correlated with.
Totally. So the self-worth piece, it comes from a lot of things. We are a product of what was downloaded into us by our upbringing, by the culture we're in, the family's culture, and if you were seen and heard as a child, a lot of the stuff that we carry into adulthood and around self-worth is because the stuff that kind of was done to us before we were sovereign and can say no more. So there's default patterns that were sort of downloaded into us before we had any say that we continue to operate through, even though at a certain point we could say, excuse me, I'm a grown-ass woman and I'm not tolerating that and I'm not doing that, or I'm doing this and I'm not subscribing to what you want. But we don't know how to do that because we weren't taught how to do that. And it showed up constantly with me. It showed up in, first of all, visibility issues. I was really afraid to be seen because I didn't want to be ridiculed and judged. So I definitely always turned down the volume on everything. I mean, basically, I was the best kept human secret. That's what I was, because if somebody actually was was tenacious enough to follow me and get into a conversation with me or work with me, they were like, oh my God, you're amazing. I'm like, but I didn't want to get up and like, be like, yeah, I'm going to help you and I can help
Oh
you.
my God, I cannot even imagine that, Lisa. I can't imagine you being so like quiet and stuff.
And that's the thing. So I was just like, that wasn't my style. But then I was like, well, finally I started taking a look at like, what are the things I'm believing about me, about the world, about people, that they're going to be mean and there's going to be trolls saying mean things. And also, do I care? I had to literally, as a woman within the last 10 years, and I just want to say I'm turning 53, so I've been on this planet a long time. Last 10 years, I was like, why do I care if these people I don't even know say something? I had to re-examine all of the beliefs I was actually giving credence to and operating through and putting a limit on myself, and it's a work in progress. You know what, Natalie, I'm not going to sit here and say I got it all down pat, because I don't. It's a work in progress for me, but the more that I shine, the more impact I can have, the more women I can help. And that's how I feel. And of course, the better my bank account will look. I mean, I don't mince words around wanting to make a good living for what I do. I think every woman should say, you know what, my gifts are worth investing in.
100%. 100%. And I love that you just said that it's a work in progress. Like, again, this self-love, self-care conversation and self-worth conversation it's never ending, because as we grow and change, different things will come up, right? Yes. And even with age, like, once we do enter a different decade in our lives, the way we view ourselves changes so much more. I'm about to turn 30 in 2 years. So I'm already starting to think like, okay, like I can't be acting like the 24-year-old girl that I used to be, or I don't even want to be that 24-year-old girl that's been partying all the time. I'm like, I want to become a woman. I am a
You're
woman.
Adulting. You're adulting.
Yeah, I'm adulting. Yeah, and so and so like that self-worth, self conversation is just never ending. And again, there's no right or wrong as you go through it, as long as you're growing, right?
Oh, 100%. And that's honestly one of the pillars of my work, Natalie, is that I do not believe in beating ourselves up over how much time we wasted on that. And we do the best we can with what we have at the time. If we're anybody who's watching this video, okay, you are on a path. You're trying to do or have more. So that is a celebration in itself, because you haven't gotten it all figured out yet, or it took you thus long to try to start figuring it out. That's just water under the bridge. And energizing any sort of low vibrational feeling around that is a complete and utter waste of time, and also a dream crusher. Because if you're so busy like being regretful over like, I spent all these years and I coulda, shoulda, woulda, that's gone. Always be moving forward. I'm a solutions gal. And you know what, like I said, since 43, I started kind of coming into who I was meant to be. I'm a late bloomer, whatever. That's the way I was made. Good. Now what can I do with whatever time is left in my life?
Yes, yes, yes. So again, for those that are kind of in a space of that, like where you're like, okay, I'm ready. I'm finally ready. I'm over it. I'm over like playing small, or you're finally super clear as to like, okay, these are my gifts. You're probably like already super, or maybe you're not super clear as to what your gifts are either, but again, you're feeling that calling. Like I know, Lisa, you've been doing some really inexpensive experiences for ladies that are in that place right now, right?
Yes, yes. And it's something I felt very called to do. Interestingly enough, when I thought of this idea, we were in Aquarius new moon a few months ago, and now the moon is going into Aquarius tonight, and I'm getting ready. Like the moon is transiting through Aquarius right now, coming up tonight in the next couple of days, and I'm thinking, I can't imagine what kind of crazy out of the box idea is going to come to me this time. But I got really called because what I noticed within my business model, and in a coaching model such as mine and any of my clients that I do privately coach, and what I really teach is that you want to meet your clients wherever they're at. You need to have, of course, free offerings. And then, of course, you need to have a low barrier or low investment way that, that an ideal client can kind of jump in and work with you, dip their toes, so to speak. And then, of course, you can have your higher, more platinum offerings, private coaching, a lot of high touch, and then high investment. So I had, with business coaching, I had my free offer, and then I had private coaching. And I just asked Aquarius one night, you know, back in February or so, January, end of January. I was like, can you just help me, Aquarius? I want to help women that can't afford to work with me privately yet, or they're not even sure they really want to throw everything they got at building a business, but they have the calling. They feel like, hey, I would maybe want to start an MLM, sell my art on Etsy, make stuff, sell stuff, do Reiki, do readings online. And how can I help those women? Because and then at everything that happened, the pandemic hit, right? And it was just like overnight, the world went online. And all of these women were like, oh my God, my job, I don't even have a job. Like, so I swooped in and I created a program called Business Magic Weekly. I want to say it's really revolutionary because there's nothing to it. Literally, it's a Facebook, you sign up, it's a Facebook group. And by the way, the investment is $9.97 a month, or $97 a year. You get 2 months for free that way. And all it is you sign up, you get the link to the private Facebook group. On Sunday night, you post me your business question, business or lifestyle, because they're intermingled as far as I'm concerned. Yeah. And mindset as well. Mostly everything that happens between the two ears. The low, like this spot right here. So Sunday night, the post goes up. Ask Lisa your question. Wednesday night, I usually have a cocktail and not iced tea. And then I go through and I answer everybody's questions. So it's moving them forward. And then you listen to everybody else's answers. And it's almost like you learn business by osmosis. It's amazing. And the women are going wild because they're like, thank you for this resource, because they're not able to work with me privately. And for me, I get that. And I just want to help as many women as possible. So I created this program and it's doing great.
Yeah, sometimes people just want somebody that actually might be able to answer their question to ask, you know, like to be able to ask to, because, and again, what I love about this is the price point is so inexpensive that, you know, people that are just starting off, maybe all they have is $10 in their bank account, but who knows, maybe those $10 can now turn into 20 because you just asked the right question, you know? So I love that.
You have a sisterhood too of women who are, every time I go live on Wednesday night, all the girls come on, hi everybody, hi. And they talk amongst themselves while I'm going, and it builds this sisterhood. And what I know for sure is when you're surrounded by like-minded people who are doing what you want to do, you somehow hang in there with more fortitude than if you were an island floating alone. So there's so much to be said. And I always say it's like Netflix, except Netflix takes your money and takes your brain power, but this is going to give you brain power.
And it's more of like a collaboration again, you know, because you are asking the question, you know, it's like, there's something beautiful I like about, like earlier that I was telling you, I did this like, Zoom call with like the people that signed up for this as the opening session. Like, again, they get to be seen, they get to be heard. And that's something that makes them feel more involved. And like you said, it creates the community of sisters now that like you can now collaborate with one another. Exactly. So I love that you've created something, like you said, revolutionary. Like, why did nobody ever think of this? Like,
why did anybody ever think of this? It's like almost like well, the idea came because my husband had a virtual doctor's appointment, telemedicine. And I was like, that was great. It was like the doctor called him on FaceTime or whatever and looked at his things and then prescribed something. And I'm like, that's brilliant. Why can't I do like telecoaching almost like that? Like I'll just go live and you ask me your question. You got me. What do you want to know? You know, there's things that of course need deeper coaching around, but for the most part, the women that I attract, and that's probably because I'm an overthinker, I'll be like, should I do this or this? Or this? And then I could stay stuck in that, which is the right thing to do. And what happens with that is time just goes by. instead of just like, you know, being able to say, hey, Lisa, what CRM do you like best? This, I'm looking at this or this. And I'll be like, okay, here's the pros to that. Here's the cons. Here's the pros to that one and the cons. And then I'd say, if you want to know what I would do, this is what I do.
Yeah.
But do due diligence. So it's almost like it takes away all the excuses to waste time and money, because how many times over the course of our careers, Natalie, have we wasted money on shit that didn't work out the way we thought it was going to work out? And it was a disappointment, right?
We couldn't just make a decision, right? Like, like we pay for it and then you're still like just holding on to it. You're like, okay, well now I got it.
Yeah. And what am I doing with it? And do I need it? And do I like it? You know, so I help kind of clear all that stuff away.
Oh yeah. Oh, you know what? You just reminded me of. So when I was still just starting to build my mailing list, I like purchased, you know, something to put my mailing list on, and then I just wasn't sending out emails. So I was just holding on to it, being like, should we send them an email? Should we not? What do I talk to them about? What do I not? Until finally I was like, I'm just going to share all of my thoughts. I'm just going to like be open and start sharing, you know? And I think that that's like the other part too, right? Where it's like, we hold ourselves back because like you said earlier, of being vulnerable, you know, being judged. And so we'd rather just be safe in our bubble, being like, okay, well, I'm good here. Like, and rather than seeing how much more you can gain when you also open up.
Yes, absolutely. And there's strategy involved. I mean, that's the thing about me. I'm a perfect, honestly, if I had to say my gifts, I see patterns, and I have a gift around seeing patterns, whether they're verbal patterns or behavioral patterns. I pick up on them right away. It's something that I see. I thought everybody could see them, but apparently not. Like I'll hear somebody say something like within the first session, I'm like, okay, this is what I'm picking up already. It's intuitive. It's also, it's a listening tool that I have that somehow just says there's this that's going on over and over. And those patterns are usually what's blocking you. So I'm able to help my clients really see this is a looping thought pattern for you, or a looping behavior that's really not serving you. But there's got to be strategy involved in everything we do with the business. Like, you know, and especially the women that I tend to work with are very creative. They're intuitive. They love holistic living. They have a lot of passions, but like which to monetize first, and how do I monetize them under one brand and stuff. So I'm really, really gifted with that, helping women that tend to have a million certifications, turn it into a cohesive brand that makes sense online. Really unique too, like really speaking to their gifts, skills, and talents. And we all have them. Yeah. I've not met one person that doesn't have divine gifts, skills, and talents, and they can be monetized if it's done with the right strategies.
Yeah. Yes. So also, Lisa, you know, I wanted to know or have you share, what do you like to do personally for yourself? You know, because I know that if you are a coach or, you know, some type of, just any leader in this world, it can drain us. And if we don't take that time to really replenish ourselves with what makes us just joyous in who we are, it can really drain us. You know, I'm a workaholic, so, you know, I've fallen into that pattern so many times. And like, again, the main motivation for this whole online show was the fact that I would go into like work mode. I'd be like, yeah, I'm on the go. And then I'd feel so drained and resentful with like showing up like a bitch because I'm like not getting the rest I need, you know, like, so, what do you like to do for you?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, first and foremost, the way that I really started coming home to myself and healing, which the healing process is a continual process, but what started me was as a younger person, I tended to always look outside of myself for answers. And it is when I went inward and I created a daily dialogue with my higher power. And for me, it's the goddess. You know, I believe in masculine and feminine. I believe in the goddess and the divine feminine. I got very, very connected to her. I've been magical my entire life. So what does that mean? You know, spirituality and all belief systems. I kind of geek out on theology, but I really, instead of just saying, oh, I'm spiritual, I really started speaking to my higher power. speaking to the divine. And I believe that that was my path home, because you have to get very quiet to speak to the divine. The divine is not loud. Listen, there's cosmic 2x4s, so don't get me wrong. Sometimes the divine is extremely loud, like I've been warning you, and this is not where we want you to go. So I definitely don't like the cosmic 2x4s. So when I got quiet and I started a daily dialogue, I started hearing things, and it was a tiny little voice that said, Lisa, you want to be doing, have more. You want to reach your full potential. You have gifts, Lisa. And then of course I had to be like, the logical mind was like, what gifts do I have? I'm useless, you know? So I had to work through all that and stuff. And my work has healed me as much as it has helped my clients and my community and the women, my students. It is a beautiful cycle of blessings, healing, and wonderfulness. It's miraculous. And that is really how I fill myself, through my work. But on the practical side, because I'm a Virgo, so I'm practical. Listen, I love gardening. I'm like a big dirt bomb. I go out there like, this is not how I look 99.9% of the time anymore. I'm usually like my hair up in a bun, and I'm dirty, and I'm out. My husband and I, we bought a palm tree farm off on an island off the coast of Southwest Florida a year ago this month. And we've been living here, and I've been taking time to grow things, grow my own food. We have chickens, a lot of nature, a lot of tropical nature. It's really, really very jungly here on this island we bought on. It's an agricultural island, and nature fills me. So I do new moon and full moon circle for my sisterhood group. I have another program that I lead circles. So those are the things that keep me filled, and just taking very good care to touch the earth, to be out in nature, to be growing something, to be interacting with my animals brings me such joy. It used to be manicures, pedicures, facials, travel, but everything has shifted in the last few years for me, and there's nothing wrong with it. It was like something I went through, and then I was like, you know what? I just want to get in that dirt and grow things. You know, so I'm an herbalist, so it all just kind of came together, and now I'm just like a barefoot hippie here on an island. That's what I do.
You know, I really love this conversation because I totally get it. I get that kind of revelation that happens when you connect to spirit. Yeah. You know, I think only up until like 2 years ago did I allow, like, I've always like had a connection. Like you said, I knew, I believe in a higher power, but I didn't really start talking with the divine, like you said, until 2 years ago. And the things I've been able to really grow within myself since then has been just transforming, you know, just endless. And I think that for me, nature is such a great way to connect with spirit, you know?
Oh, yeah. Yes.
And so for you to say like, oh, that's where you feel like the most like full and fulfilled, like, duh, you know, because it's like when we allow ourselves to connect with what all that it has created, then that is when you just feel fully in home. At least for me, you know, that's
part of it.
And for you,
feel part of it. I'll speak to that too. I totally agree. We actually, when we moved to the island, we purchased a boat because we're on an island, and there's all these other islands that have private beaches. So my husband is a Scorpio, he's a water baby. So we're out on the water, and that, even though I grew up on Long Island, which is surrounded by water, I hated the beach. It was too hot. And you know, back in the day, I hated how hot it was. And then we used to put oil on and sand used to stick to me. I don't like being uncomfortable, but the boat, just being out on the water, and here down where we live, we're in the Gulf of Mexico, we go out, and there's dolphins jumping into the air all around you, and manta rays, and it's insanity out there. It's so beautiful. It's talk about magic. So I definitely refill in nature, and being with my husband. I mean, I found him at almost 50. So I waited half a century for him. So those are and of course my children, I have children, I have grandchildren, believe it or not. And those are the things, and just being in the present moment, they just help me really refill. All the things that I used to filled my vessel with, even in the last 10 years, have shifted to be very much experiential. Now I'm all about the experience and time, right? That became very important for me too, because I never really thought about time, to be honest with you. And when I met my husband, he was like, babe, time is the only unrenewable resource. We only have just a certain amount of time. And we made it a promise to each other that we just wanted to spend that time being present, loving where we're living, loving what we're doing with our day. And I'm very blessed where I've always loved my work, but he struggles. He's always, worked for other people and he never found what his passion, so he calls it. So it's so important when you find your passion is to just go for it with everything you've got, because time is your only unrenewable resource. Spend your days doing something you love.
Yes. The time is now, for sure. 100%, now more than ever, when everything is just going crazy, right? We don't know what's going to happen next. So why wait any longer, right? Like, the time is now for new leaders. I think for also this feminine energy to really come in and support one another, the men and the women, and really come in with love and gentleness, because especially when everyone's behaving in such aggression and fear, like that's the kind of, I think, the best medicine. Yeah.
And just to add something to that, Natalie, it's also coming with compassion, because the masculine operates in the way it operates. And for the feminine, it's very different. And, I know that when I'm working with my clients, a lot of them almost shun the masculine, whether it's actual men or the masculine within them. Like all of a sudden you hear, oh no, pushing is masculine. You need the masculine. We need the masculine. And when the masculine is routed in a healthy way within ourselves and in society, it's magnificent.
Yes.
It's beautiful. And so when we as women step into our mature feminine, we are able to really help the masculine blossom.
100%. Yes. So for all of you that are really, again, maybe in a space where you're finally ready to start coming out, or maybe you're ready to start discovering maybe parts of yourself that you haven't really paid attention to yet. Really dive in a little bit deeper on what your gifts are. I invite you to check out Lisa. She is an amazing person to work with. As you can see, I love her attitude. I love your energy. Like, you're so like me, and just like how we show up, and I love that. So again, I invite you to check her pages out. And I know you also have a little gift for people that are ready to start working on their businesses or their vision, and putting it out there. So maybe you can share a little bit of that.
Sure. I have a free gift. And like I said, I'm a real blend of woo and strategy. So, and that is a lot to do with the fact that I'm a really great blend of masculine and feminine, that whole, that's the receiving, but it's also the pushing to get done what you want to get done. I mean, and that's the thing that has been most useful in my own company, and I help my clients do that. So I put together a free gift, and it's called the Profitable Business Checklist. It's my 20 must-haves in order to have a profitable and magical business. Because listen, I think everybody needs a little magic in their life. I'm sorry. That's just, I shouldn't say I'm sorry, because I'm really not sorry about that. So I want you to go download my checklist, because there's some practical stuff. Well, it's all really practical, but some of it's a little bit more woo, which will hopefully get you more connected to all that is.
Yes. I love that, because again, for this, it's like nurturing you to nurture and grow your business. So this is a great way to not just nurture yourself, but then put it into action, right? Really get that practicality out of it. So thank you so much, Lisa. This has been amazing. I love this conversation. And again, the resources that you're sharing with our ladies. So yeah, so until next time, I hope you all have a beautiful and loving day.